Welcome back to One Piece Anime Re-Review Part 32A. If you're curious though what's on my face, it's a band-aid. I'm attempting to come up with it. This is the best thing I can think of. It's so people don't see it. Yeah, that's the reason why I said it, because it would look kind of gross seeing that in a video. And this is the best thing I can think of. Don't worry, it'll probably go away. Hopefully go away the next day or two. I'm hoping so. Okay. For this one, we're covering episodes 524 to 532. I technically already covered 533 already in the previous review, so I figured I'll basically talk about this. Now, I forgot to mention Nami's new look, which I had the figure for it. This right here. This is Nami's new look that she had post time skip. And she still is kind of wearing this. Yeah, she wore this up until most of the time this is basically her default attire that she wears. I think the only difference is this figure doesn't have her green top. Yeah, they changed her top, but yeah, she still wears these blue jeans and the belt buckle with the money symbol on it and the long hair. But yeah, this is her definitive attire that she wears pretty much throughout the entirety of the whole time skip stuff. Though they actually don't have the correct sandals, because in the anime it's slightly different sandals, because the sandals she wears are a little different than that. Now these episodes pick up exactly where 523 left off, but the Straw Hats are still going down below Fishman. It takes a few episodes to get down there. Like, they're basically just looking at bees, and then they just happen to come across a freaking Kraken. Yep. So Zoro, Sanji, and Luffy go to battle it. And Luffy's like, I want to catch that thing, make it a pet. So Zoro chops up one of its limbs, and crawling on one of the limbs is a shark wearing a t-shirt. A sleeveless t-shirt. Yeah, they'll explain a little bit later what the shark was doing here. And the shark itself, believe it or not, this arc, I kid you not, like almost everything associated with everybody associated with Fishman Island, like all the major characters, well, most of them anyways, get their backstory completely explored in this arc. But don't worry, I'll discuss that more later. So going down, and then they come across a volcanic. Now, Sanji is suffering through a nosebleed, which, with this arc, they kind of stopped that because, well, he doesn't have nosebleeds as much as he was before. You know, he got nosebleeds because he's a pervert. So, he, of course, is recovering, and of course, because he basically took so much blood from a nosebleed, he basically has to get 5 blood plants inside of him in order to get him alive. So, of course, Nami covers up, but she had to take her coat off because they end up at an underwater volcano. Yep. And just by sheer... And here's the thing. And then the Flying Dutchman shows up. No, not the same one that appeared in Pirates of the Caribbean. This ship belonged to a man named Vander Decken. According to Brooke, he basically went nuts hundreds of years ago. And they thought this was a ghost. And it turns out this is actually his descendant, who was the commander of this old pirate ship. And of course, before they counter ship, they counter a giant fishman named Watamubi, which, by the way, he does come back after this arc in a later arc, which I'll discuss that when I finish up Fishman Island. So, of course, they just happen by sheer coincidence before they come across the Great Fishman. They come across a giant anglerfish. Yeah, the fish are bigger here for some reason. I guess they are. So, after speeding by thanks to a Kuda burst, and they had to do a series of small ones, which apparently, because that Kuda burst absorbs air, which also absorbs the air inside their, let's say, their bubble. Now, Luffy himself does come back eventually with the Kraken, which named Sudame, and they were to carry the thing partway to Fishman Island, and then when they get there, they are confronted by 3 fishmen, who are part of the new Fishman Pirates, led by Captain Hody Jones. And the guy himself is a fishman who looks almost like Arlong, except he's got a shorter nose. He's the same species as Arlong. Now, my theory when it comes to Hody Jones is that he's a distant relative of Arlong due to the fact they're very similar in appearance. except that Holy Jones is chubby while Arlong is muscular. Also, well, he doesn't have the scar yet. He gets the scar later from somebody. I'll get to that in a later video. So it's also shown that there's some pirates. Yes, there's a pirate crew escaped from them, and the guy's from the South Blue, where he looks almost exactly like Nolan from the Skypiea arc. Yeah, this is probably Oda just reusing an old character design, just reusing his characters from the South Blue. Though here's the thing. Nolan is from the North Blue. This guy's from the South Blue, and he's got like a plant growing in the back of his head. Wouldn't that freaking hurt to have a thing go back of your head? Yeah, it's basically like a four-leaf clover growing back of his head. Unknown why it's there, it's just that it's there. And he's known as Crab. He's known as Crab Hand because he's got a crab hand. Where he got this from? No idea, because they get taken out by Hody Jones, souped up on a drug. The drug itself gets a bit of explanation a little bit later, when it does explain of how Hody Jones gets this drug. That's explained in the flashback that they have in this arc. And he takes 4 of these pills, which apparently when you eat these pills, every time you eat one, it shortens your lifespan down by a little bit. Like, I think it takes like a few years off your lifespan. Depends how much you eat. So, this pretty much just has him just get bigger muscles. Also, you see his arm covered with tattoos. One of whom happened to be the symbol for the Arlong Pirates. Yeah, there's a reason for that. Because he's a big fan of Arlong, despite the fact Arlong himself Arlong does come back in this arc in flashback. But don't worry, I'll get to that later. So, he gets himself handcuffed, and he proceeds to use his own teeth to kill the captain and decimate the whole ship, sending him to the surface adrift. Yep. Now, as for the Straw Hats, well, they managed to get past the new Fishman pirates by using the coup de burst to launch them in the air. They go right through the air bubble, and then they go through another one, which is a water, and it looked like they all drowned, but nope. Now, basically, 4 of the Straw Hats, basically Luffy, Sanji, Chopper, and Usopp, are saved by Cammy and a bunch of little girl mermaids. These things are so adorable. And they wake up in Cammy's house. And she's changed her shirt because it's a time skip. Yeah, she apparently has now gone sleeveless now. And she's got this air, let's just say floaty, to allow her to get around because she's basically can't walk normally. Despite the fact when you saw her in pre-time skip, she can basically just hop around no problem. And yet here she has to ride this floaty thing. I have no idea why. So, it turns out her house is actually part of a dormitory related to Mermaid Cafe. So they hop on a elevator, then they go see Papaku. Yep, they go see Papaku. He says, oh yeah, we're Papaku is an old friend. Turns out the old friend just happens to be Brooke, just by sheer coincidence. And apparently the girls love Brooke. They kept kissing his bones, and I thought that was so hilarious. So, they take a taxi to his house, and he wants to show off his house, but oh look, a clothing store! Like, ooh, cool factory. And they hear a voice, and it's Nami. Yep. And he doesn't like ridiculous surprises, so Papaku was like, you can take it. You can take whatever you want for free. And Nami's like, cool, guys, empty out this whole store. They put in giant bags, which could probably bankrupt him. But since he's basically rich anyways, I'm sure he could probably make more, no problem. I thought that was kind of hilarious. As what Nami does with his clothes, I think some of the crew do wear these in filler stories after this, but not much. I think he just basically trying to expand Nami's own clothing collection. Luffy doesn't have many clothes, surprisingly. Yes, that's the strange thing with a lot of the Straw Hats. They don't have many clothes. A lot of the time, Nami buys them for them, or people just give them to him. Yeah, Luffy, of course, pre-time skip was known for wearing a button-up vest. Post-time skip, he wears the bell sleeve shirt, which has the shirt open, which is something that Oda probably tried out pre-time skip, because in Thriller Bark and in Sabaody, his shirt's open. and then later on it's closed. Yeah, unknown why it's left open for, just that it is. Here, it's open all the time. As a matter of fact, the only time his shirt's ever closed, I think the first time he ever closes his shirt is probably in Whole Cake. Yep, that's the first time he actually closed his shirt. Because even in Dressrosa, his shirt's open. Unknown why he does this for is just never properly explained. My guess is because he wears a long sleeve shirt, so why not let some air on his skin? I don't know what the reason is. Maybe to show off his big scar on his chest, which he didn't have that pre-time skip. Though how he got it basically because half of the Marine 4. He still has this very day. Yep. So then but first they come across a group of mermaids, which that's when the three princes show up, and then the air fishermen show up. Luffy fights them, and of course they go off. And then, oh yeah, and also forgot to mention this. There is a guy named Wet Hair Canavan who's seen briefly at the start of this arc, and then he disappears to almost the entire story arc. Yeah, this guy ate a swamp fruit. He's a bottomless pit, so he kidnaps three mermaids, one of whom surprisingly is voiced by Jimmy Marceri, which makes this the fourth character this woman is voiced in the series. Like, my gosh, how many characters can this woman voice in this damn series? First is Miss Golden Valentine, and then it's the announcer from Water 7. I'm trying to remember who was it. Let's see. I'm trying to remember what was the next one that she voiced. I think it might have been a character from Thriller Bark. I think it was. Yeah, I think it was a character in Thriller Bark who was voiced by her. Yeah, I think this is the fourth one. I can't think of any other character she's voiced. But this is probably for the fourth one I can think of she's voiced in the series. Yeah, apparently people are copying Sabbath from what he did Dragon Ball Z. Voicing more than one character, yet Sabbath sticks to one character the entire series. So it's Colin Clickenbeard, and Lucian Christian, and Sonya Surratt. Even though Sonya Surratt, like Chris Sabat, also voiced more than one character in Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball. So, and by the way, what in the world is Robin and Frankie up to? They explain this in a bit of a flashback just prior to them meeting up. Now, basically, Nami goes shopping, which basically explains how when they run into her, when Brooke, Usopp, and Luffy run into them, and here's the thing. Well, it turns out that Sanji have a relapse, so he had to look around town because apparently it's illegal to do a blood transfer between human and a fishman. This, by the fact, their blood is perfectly compatible. It's basically the law is based in bigotry. That's the reason why that is. So they eventually found a donor. A couple transvestites. Okay, we had to throw this in. Yeah, I think a lot of people watching it's like, really? We just already went through this already when the Straw Hats separated and when they did Return of Sabaody. A lot of people thought that'd be the last time we see these stupid kids. Now, I have nothing against people who live this lifestyle, but come on, do we really need to see this again? Yeah, this is probably here just because Sanji's a pervert. And to meet Madame Sherry before they meet with Brooke and Nami. Madame Sherry is a very big mermaid, though. She's not the biggest one. The biggest one we'll see later. In case you look curious, though, about this particular mermaid, she has the body of a shark. The reason why that is because she's Arlong's sister. Yep. This fact, don't mention it here, but yeah, she's Arlong's sister. I think she's a beautiful woman, surprisingly. Though she's got like a bit of a mustache on top of her lip. Heck, Luffy asks a very inappropriate question. Like, he asks him how to take a dump. I'm like, I agree with Madame Sherry. Like, that's information you should never ask. Yeah, because it's quite stupid to ask that question. And very inappropriate. As for how Madame Sherry is, because they do show, when they do a little tour, they show some mermaids where their legs are their fins are separated, their regular legs. My guess is Madame Sherry is not 30 yet. I'd say she's probably in her, by the look of her, she's probably mid to late 20s, I'd say. Yeah, she doesn't look like she's a teenager. No. especially those big legs of hers. I would say she's probably in her 20s. I mean, her legs were the same size as Robin's. I mean, if she had a long tail, anyways. So, and she's also got a crystal ball because she's basically a psychic in a way. She does look into it later, and it spells doom for the Straw Hats, where apparently she thinks that they're responsible for the destruction of Fishman Island. They're really not. It's just Luffy is surrounded by flames. That's the vision. Excuse me. And it turns out that the reason why the princess won't be with Luffy because they had a message from Jinbei. And Cammy said, "Oh yeah, you want me for Jinbei? You want me with boss? Cool." And the message is actually not explained later exactly what the message is, but it involves Hody Jones. So, as a thank you for rescuing the shark, King Neptune shows up, invites Luffy, Nami, Brook, and Usopp to the palace for a banquet. And of course, Luffy decides to invite Cammy and Papaganoo because they're friends. And Neptune's like, sure, why not? Of course, Neptune's flying is basically riding a whale, while everybody else rides in the giant shark. Oh yeah, and it turns out this shark is actually Shirahoshi, the princess's pet. Yep. And by the way, this shark has a backstory related to the flashback to stuff that happens in present day. As a matter of fact, he has sort of a connection to Hody Jones. So, they go to the palace. Zoro apparently made his way there and started drinking himself crazy. So, and then Mamachira meets up with the elder brother of the princess and explains what happens. Like, okay, we need to take the Straw Hats in custody, despite the fact they have no evidence to support. Like, it's just a vision. Okay? Just keep an eye on them. Don't arrest them. This is quite stupid. The princes are jumping the gun. So, not long after the Straw Hats basically get to the palace, they're pretty much getting arrested. Though, Luffy had to slip away because he was tired of hearing the king getting scolded by his own ministers. The minister to the left, the minister to the right. One is a catfish, the other is a seahorse. No joke. So Luffy follows him and like, and he comes across an area with air. Wonder what the reason for this is. And he comes across two giant doors. Okay. Then he opens them up. Like, it's dark in here. And he just crawls like, is the table? Is like jump. Like, ooh, squishy. and then she wakes up. The princess! And she's like, how rude of you to jump on my chest. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Hancock will be so jealous of this. Like the fact that Luffy is jumping on the mermaid princess's chest. And I'm sure he's probably like, hey, why'd you do that to me? It's if Hancock was here, but she's not. That would have been so hilarious if in fact that Hancock basically told Luffy, hey, if you want to touch a woman's chest, just mine. That's what she would probably say if she was here, but she isn't. That's what I would think that she would say if she was here, following Luffy around. That would be quite hilarious. So, she basically, of course, then, just by sheer coincidence, Van Decken throws an axe at Sarah. She's like, oh yeah, that's not the right direction. Yeah, it turns out he ate the mark for wherever he touches, goes right to it. So, he throws in the wrong direction, but it gets redirected back to the palace. And Luffy, detecting the axe, catches it. And then the minister, I think this is the minister of the left, I think it is, comes in, tells Hoshi about what happened with the Straw Hats, though she hides Luffy in her hand because Luffy's so small, and she uses her finger to gag his mouth, and then of course his shark, and of course I think it's an intruder, the guard's thinking intruder, but nope, it's just a shark, like, oh, Mamagoo, yep. Then, of course, she allows Luffy to eat her food. She has no problem with it at all. Oh yeah, what's Brook, Usopp, and Nami up to? Beating up the royal guards because they're falsely accused of something they're not actually really responsible for. So, Luffy's like, after Luffy eating all the food, and says, I don't like you. Of course, she also poked his cheek when he was eating his food. He's like, don't do that. And it's like, is someplace you want to go? And, well, that's where that part ends. I could have gone further, but I really wanted to stop at 5:30 before I got to the palace, but I was already there anyway, so I figured, oh, why not review up to 5:32? I mean, it's only just 9 episodes. It's not really going to hurt anything. So, yeah. So, that's it for this particular review. My next review for this series will cover episodes 533 to 542. Well, 541 does kind of end the first portion of Fishman Island, because here's the thing. 542 has nothing to do with Fishman Island. It's a team of Toriko. But I'll discuss that in 31 part 32B. Yep. And my next review is going to be a comic corner, where I have 2 series, one for Rebirth, the other from the New 52 era. And I'm also going to do a review for ReZero. That's happening today too, okay? We'll see you next video. Bye.